It is Thursday, May 8th, 2025. This is Daniel once again of Notice TV back with another voice recording. What a beautiful day. Pop on those headphones, of course. Why don't you have friends? Or how about this? Why do you only have few friends? Or how should I say it? Why do you only have cohorts? Or just, you know, sometimes you have to think, like, who are your friends, right? Most people believe that their coworkers are their friends, right? You see them every day, or they're your friends, or it's okay to think that way, because you see these people every day. In most cases, when you go to work or a job or whatever, or you work with some people or work with a few people, you may believe that they are your friends or whatnot. It's okay to think that way. And, most people, if you really are aware, you could understand and separate the two. That, okay, you know what, these people that I am around for 8 to 9 hours of the day are just my coworkers. Just that they are there to help me make money. They are there to help with the progress of the business, right? Now, can we sit down and share certain things about ourselves personally, about personal things with my coworkers? Yeah, that's of course you could do that. Many people do that to strangers. They start to tell on themselves. That not really tell on themselves, but they start to open up to complete strangers. I think that's just a human trait, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the person is your friend or someone to confide into, you know? So you got to be very careful on just airing out your own laundry onto any and everybody, because most people aren't your friend. I believe a true friend is someone who you could really confide into, that is non-judgmental. They are able to keep secrets. They are able to, how you say, they are loyal, like super loyal, like, no matter what, you and them go through, you fight, fuss, you always come back around, you know. I believe that's what a true friend is. Someone who is there regardless of whatever is going on, whatever the situation. Um, so now the question is, why don't you have friends? I mean, I don't know too much. I mean, about every single being on this planet. I know we all have our own journey, right? I have my own journey. You guys have your own journey. You guys have your own way of life, way of solving solutions, way of solving problems, developing solutions to those certain problems. We may have different ways to get to that solution. So I don't know where you're at in your life and your journey at this point in time. But just based on me studying self, I could understand that the reason why I don't have too many friends is because of the wave that I'm on, the wavelength, the I would say the frequency that I'm on, And here's the thing, throughout your life, throughout your journey, um, you may shift through different frequencies. It's crazy. If you're on a spiritual journey and you're learning about your God, studying Bible, studying scripture, studying everything, studying and learning, and then moving away from studying, and then looking within for answers. You move through different frequencies, right? You move through how you say it, spiritual battles. In most cases, you go through the dark night of the soul. You start to find out that you have a shadow within you, a shadow self that has been closed off. You closed it off. You have a lot of trauma, based on your how you grew up, you know, um, you start to go through the dark night of the soul, and you start to actually do some deep work, right? You start to look within for the answers rather than looking outward and looking through books and scriptures, which is okay. You could still research and see, what is out there, of course. But once you start to look inward and finding out who you are and where your place is on this planet, doing the deep work, then you start to realize that you're shifting between different frequencies. And that's why you don't have a lot of friends, right? And to the fact that as you move up in life or move down in life or wherever you're going, whatever journey you're on, your friends change, right? Your friends always changing. Your life a little bit changes too. You're on a different path now. You're on a different path, and your next journey is on a different wave. You're shifting through frequencies, right? So when you're shifting through different frequencies, you fall off the frequency that your old friends were on, right? You were on their frequency. For example, you used to love the high life, the clubbing, the partying, the drugs, and all this crazy, fun, right? All this crazy fun, right? That people view as fun, obviously. And you go through this spiritual journey now and start to see, okay, well, I'm not interested in clubbing and partying and the drugs anymore and the drinking and stuff like that. But my friends are still there. So now you're falling away from the frequency right now, right? You're falling away from the frequency that your friends are still on at this point. So once you fall off that frequency, that high life, that I should say the crazy high life, you know, the party and the drugs and the whatever, you're falling off. So you're falling away from your friends. So now you're losing your friends, or quote unquote friends, really quote unquote friends. Like I said, a true friend is someone who's gonna stick by you no matter what. So now you could actually view like, okay, well, those weren't really my friends. You know what I mean? Or then you can ask the question, well, was I even a friend? Or were we just partying buddies, right? Were we just partying buddies or drug buddies or whatever? Maybe that's the real word for it, right? We were just partying buddies or drugging buddies or living the high crazy life buddies, right? Maybe we were just coworkers. We weren't really friends. We were just coworkers who maybe shared maybe a bit of similarity interests or whatever. I wouldn't call them friends. They're associates. They're fellow employees. They're fellow cohorts. I wouldn't call them friends, right? So when you fall away or when you leave a job, when you fall off that frequency, then you get to see, okay, well, now I never really had friends, right? So why don't you have friends? Because your frequency is ever so changing. If you're growing, if you're a person that is growing in spirit and you're starting to find oneself and try to figure out your purpose and your place on this world, right? Then you start to really go into deep work and understand that, okay, well, I have people around me that I love, but I wouldn't necessarily call them friends. It's the same thing with family, right? Family isn't always about blood, right? You may share the same DNA, but they're not truly your family. I believe the true meaning of family is someone operating on your same frequency right now, the same wavelength, right? I believe you guys probably heard of this before, that many people come into your life for a season, bro, for a season. So thinking of it that way, when you're on another frequency, another wavelength, those people that are on that same wavelength for the season are your current family at this point in time. Let me say that again, right? When you're on a certain wavelength right now, because you're growing spiritually, right? When you're on a certain wavelength or frequency at this point in time, in this season, the same beings or the same people that are on that same wavelength for a time, for a season as you are, those are your current family at this time, right? So, for example, you believe that how you say it, you believe in love, you believe in kindness, you believe in being good to people, not being shisty, stuff like that. Those that have that same kind of mindset are your spiritual family at this point in time, because they would agree with every freaking thing you're saying at this point in time, right? Everybody's there for a reason. Everybody's there. Now, here's the thing: whether good or bad, everybody's in your life for a reason. So if it's something negative or a negative person in your life, right, that is not on your frequency, and they're in your circle at this point in time, remember that they are there for you to learn. They are there for you to test you, right? So for example, you're on this spiritual frequency where you believe in love, kindness, and everything of the fruits of the spirit, or what have you, right? But you have someone that is around you, right, in your circle, that disagrees wholeheartedly. Remember, that person have to be there to test you, so you could learn from them, right? And they may be learning from you as well, right? So understanding in that sense that when it comes to the wavelength that we're on currently, that those people that line up with you are your spiritual family at this point in time, right? And here's the thing: your spiritual family doesn't have to be someone on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, your spiritual family might be someone that is in the unseen realm at this point in time that is guiding you. They're guiding you, right? So as you grow in spirit, as I'm continually trying to grow in spirit, as I'm growing, I don't know if I'm halfway there yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm three quarters there. Maybe I'm there. I don't know. But as you're growing in spirituality and you start to, you know, get past all of the weird stuff, and you start to look through the veil, and you're done with the arguing, you're done with the playing, how you say it, biblical scripture, fighting people with biblical scripture. When you get past all of the crazy arguing about religion and all this other crazy stuff, then you get to walk with love, compassion. You see the way of the world. And then when it comes to the friends and your friends in your circle, you don't even ask those questions anymore. Why you don't have friends? Because then you realize that everybody's on a frequency. You don't have friends because you're on a different frequency. You're on a different wavelength that most people are not on. And here's the crazy part. Others will feel that. Those people that are around you, let's say you looking at someone who's a very exciting person, right? And they have a lot of friends, and people just gravitate towards them. Boom, 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 right? That those people that are gravitating towards that other person or being or whatever, who's very exciting, boom, 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 they may feel like as if they're on a different frequency from you. So that's why they probably stay away from you. Maybe I could speak for myself on this point, but most people stay away from you because you're on a different level. You're on a different frequency. You value your peace more than excitement, right? You value your peace more than you being overly stimulated over a certain event or situation, right? Most of those things, most of those events, most of those concerts, most of those, you know, some things on this planet just don't excite you. And people will feel that. You know what I mean? People will feel that, you feel different or you look different. Or, you know what I mean? Most people will even comment and say like, his energy I don't like. Or her energy, I don't really like her energy. You know what I'm saying? It's not that it's not that that you're in the wrong. It's not that you have a wrong spirit. It's that their spirit doesn't coincide with you. Your frequency is not coinciding with them. They are not on your wavelength and you're not on their wavelength. Your interests don't matter to them and their interests don't matter to you. Right? So don't think negative on that and please don't expect yourself to change is what I'm saying. Right? Just because if they say that your spirit just isn't sitting right with them, don't take that to heart because, like I said, you probably value peace than all these crazy excitement. You know what I mean? You value your peace, right? So why don't you have friends? You don't have friends because you're growing spiritually, right? You're growing. You're on a different wavelength. You're on a different frequency at this time. The noise is different for you right now. You probably enjoy solitude. And that's okay. And that's okay. You don't have to change for the world. You don't have to change for the world. I kid you not. Like, if you just, what's it called? Superman. If you guys used to watch Superman, right? This man saved lives, right? And of course, this is a fictional story, cartoon, whatever. But this man saved lives, yet still was taken for granted, by the people of his city. Still taken for granted. You know what I mean? Cops didn't like him at all. He's saving everybody. He was taken for granted. He's saving lives and helping people. Some people appreciated it, but others didn't because he's operating for good. He's saving lives. He's operating on a level of good, right? But understand that at sometimes Superman needed solitude, right? I believe he had a fortress of solitude, so he had to fall away sometimes and kick back. He needed to stay away from the humans for a minute because the humans, they operated on many different frequencies. Some don't like him, some do. So now I'm not telling you to be Superman. I'm telling you to understand that in most cases the reason why you don't have friends because of course Superman, everybody wasn't his friend. He did so much good things for the world, but everybody wasn't his friend. And there's no way for everybody to be your friend. There's no way for everybody to like you just because you do good in the world. Same thing with Jesus. With him healing the sick and the blind, the deaf and the dumb, and raising the dead, he didn't have a lot of friends. He had about 12 close people. One of them betrayed him. Literally, one of them betrayed him, bro. Right? But with all of his good things that he has done, he didn't have a lot of friends. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have a lot of best friends, bro. Right? And that's okay. You're operating on a different level than most people. And if you're operating on good and you're being peaceful, then you're gonna have to expect that you don't have a lot of friends. In most cases, you have enemies, right? So why don't you have friends? Let's ask that question once again. Here's the thing. If you're asking this question, I really hope and pray that you're not trying to change yourself. right? Like externally, right? Well, I don't have friends. I don't have friends. I'm gonna try to fit into the world. Don't do that. Don't fit into the world because you don't have friends. Don't try to dress like the people that you want to be around. Don't dress and start acting and listen to the same music as the people that you want to be around or you just want to stay around. You know what I mean? Like, the Bible talks about, why would you how to say it? Don't lose your soul by loving this world. You know what I mean? What good is a man to lose his own soul by loving this planet, by loving the things of this world? Don't do that because you're gonna lose yourself trying to fit in into something you're probably not. You're not that. It's best to what is best to do. I'm sorry. What is best to do is to do some deep work and dive within self to figure out who you are. Who are you exactly? Right? And once you find who you are exactly, what people think about you don't even matter, man. It won't matter to you. No, you're not gonna get the friends that you think that you want. No, because they're operating on a different level or different wavelength. No, you're not gonna get the girlfriend that you think you want because they look beautiful and attractive. No. That person's operating on a different frequency. They may look good, they may look attractive, but like I said, they're operating on a different frequency. They on something else right now. Their energy is different right now. I think I mentioned before, man, that if you ever like if you're a man and if you ever looked at a very attractive woman, right? Very attractive woman, but you never talked to her, but as soon as you talk to her and she start spewing out what is from her heart and you start to notice that whatever she's saying just isn't attractive, you get to be like, okay, whoa, you know what I mean? That I didn't expect that. Like, her spirit changed. Not even her spirit changed. Is that it threw you off. You know what I mean? Like, she may look beautiful, but her spirit is on a different wavelength right now. It's on something. It's on a different line from where you at, man. Just by her speaking. You know what I mean? Just by the words that are coming out of her mouth, whatever it might be, you know, changes your perception of this individual. She may look beautiful. You may want to bang or whatever, but she opens her mouth and starts talking, then you get to see where her spirit line is on, right? You get to see the wavelength. If you're on the Christ consciousness, you get to hear it. And she's all cussing and carrying on and on some, you know, on some things that doesn't line up with you. Then there goes the attraction, right? There goes the attraction. Just because someone's beautiful or physically attractive it doesn't really make them attractive when it doesn't line up with your spirit, bro. I'm telling you. I seen some people out here, man. I seen some couples out here that don't even look like they fit, bro. The couples don't look like they fit as far as physically, right? But once you get to know these couples, they're the same person, bro. They're the same. They have the same attitude. They have the same. You know what I mean? Their spirits are kind of like the same. I mean, they're a little bit different, but their spirits are aligning. Like you can't see one without the other. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, y'all meant for each other. Okay, yeah, I see it. Y'all meant for each other. Not that they look good. Not that they look good together, because many people could look good together. But when the spirits align, Yeah, 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 y'all belong together. Yeah, yeah. Even if it's some ratchet people, you know what I mean? When two ratchet people come together, when two people that are, you know, just out there. Oh yeah, yeah. Y'all belong together. Yeah, y'all on the same wavelength. Yeah. So yeah, why don't you have friends? It's because of that, man. You are on a different wavelength, and your wavelength is gonna line up with the people that is gonna come. They're gonna come in your way, man. Trust me. The people that you want in your life, that's on the wavelength, they're going to come into your wave, right? And like I said, they may not be your best friends because, like I said, everybody's here for a season. I believe everybody's here for a season. You know, hell, you may be married, right? You may be married, and you're growing spiritually, right? And it's crazy that your spouse or your wife or your husband may drop off the wavelength that you were on. Now, I'm not telling people to go out and start divorcing their spouse. I'm not saying that just because you're spiritually off from your spouse, right? I'm saying to continue doing your deep work and grow spiritually and pray that your spouse reaches where you're trying to reach. You know what I mean? If you're a husband and you're the head of the household, then all you have to do is continue doing what you have to do to grow spiritually and pray that everybody eventually lines up. But if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. You know, then you may have to separate from your spouse, or I'm not telling you to separate from your spouse, but understand that once you grow spiritually, those people are going to leave you. You know, it's just going to happen. You know, the Bible talks about, even Jesus says it. You know what I mean? Jesus said, man, the people of your own household will be your enemies. The people of your own household, your family members, your children will be your enemies. Once you start to grow spiritually and you want peace and tranquility and love and compassion, that you walking out here trying to do right by the world and by you and everything else, understand that your children will be your worst enemies. Possibly your wife will probably be your wife, or your spouse will probably be your worst enemies, and will try to kick you back into that frequency. They'll try to get you back into that frequency that you trying to move away from. So understand that. Are you willing to forsake your family to grow spiritually? Cuz that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Are you willing to sacrifice your current friends, quote unquote, that you think they're your friends? Well, are you willing to sacrifice your friends to grow spiritually? To grow, to be better, to find yourself? Because that's what you gotta have to do. That's what you're gonna have to do. That's what's gonna happen. And then the right people you're going to line up with the right individuals. Trust me. I'm an advocate of telling people to continue to grow spiritually. Grow spiritually. You know what I mean? You could read the Bible, right? You could read the Bible and read the Quran, but the thing about being religious is that you're stuck in the religion. You're stuck on thinking the religious way, right? You're stuck, and I'm not telling people to be out here and dabbing into different occultist stuff. I'm not telling you to dab into different occultist stuff and start doing seances and trying to reach the dead. I'm telling you not to do that. Don't do that. I'm telling you to look within yourself and start to study self and understand the way of the world, to understand how the world works, and learning about self and loving oneself, and the means for loving oneself is to do the deep dive within yourself, right? And understand that everyone is in your life for a season. Everybody comes into your life for a season. Why you don't have friends is because you're on a different level. right now. You are working on a different level. You need to continue to do your deep work within yourself and find self and loving on self. Once you find self love, you can understand that, man, there is no friends really. There's no friends. It's just people in your life that comes in your life. You know what I mean? There's just your spirit family that comes in your life whenever you reach a new wavelength. It's just your spiritual family. You know what I mean? Your friends, if I'm a define friends, your friends are your spiritual family at this time, at this season, at this time. Your friends are your spiritual family at this time in whatever wavelength you're on. If I'm going to define friends, I'm going to define friends as your spiritual family in this time, at this place, in this season, on this current wavelength that you're on. But understand that they could drop off. Your family could drop off your wavelength, or you could drop off your family's wavelength, because you're either growing spiritually or you're falling spiritually, right? You can either grow spiritually or fall spiritually, right? You if you fall spiritually, most likely you're doing things that isn't right with your family or whoever else. So they have to fall away from you, or you're falling away from them, right? And you're diving into the more evil side of it, evil side of the world's wavelength, whatever you want to call it, right? So you could call it friends, you could call it family, whatever you want to call it. I call it family on a spiritual wavelength, whatever. Maybe I'll make up a name of whatever. But I hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from when it comes to why you don't have friends, right? There is a reason, and I believe the true reason is that you have to look within self, man. Look within yourself. It starts with self love, really, because once you look within yourself and you find self love, you putting boundaries around yourself. Like, oh God, well, I ain't letting nobody in that's gonna tear down my energy. Really, I don't care if I have friends or no friends. I'm really not gonna allow you to tear me down spiritually when I'm not even trying to be you, or be on your wavelength, or be the person that you are. You know, energy vampires, whatever you want to call it. And that's with anybody: family, friends, your spouse, your children. If your children are on a different wavelength than you, then what can you do but fall back and let them do them? You do you, let them do them. You know what I mean? You could give them advice. You could tell them the right way or the wrong way, whatever. But you have to allow the universe to work in them. Your friends, you tell them the right way, you tell them the wrong way. You tell them what's the difference between right and wrong. All you have to, you could tell them that, and just let the universe work with it, work in them, and let the universe happen to them in most cases. I mean, I hate to say it, I hate to sound heartless, but that's you like I said, you're protecting yourself at this time. You're protecting your energy. You're protecting your life, and your life is what's in you, what's in the body, which is your spirit. I might talk some more on this. I might went too long on this one, but maybe there might be a part two on why you don't have any friends. This is Daniel once again with another voice recording. I thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys later. If you guys and girls made it this far, press that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on my Facebook page, take the time to subscribe to my YouTube page at Notice TV. That's all caps, NOTICE TV. I'll catch you later, and may God bless you.